Hi, welcome to another video. This is going to be my first Zwift racing video for quite a while. However, this winter I have been doing some Zwift racing. I've been racing the Ribble Winter Series. It's been a lot of fun. I've been racing in Cat B and it's been going well. However, before Christmas I missed one of the races, so I decided to do something different just because I didn't want to miss out on doing a race that week, and I made the mistake of picking quite a short race. And the disadvantage of that is that when doing a short race, I can sustain high power for a fairly short period of time. So my watts per kilogram was a little bit above B, and that meant that I am now on a category enforcement race, which is what the Ribble Winter Series is, a Cat A racer. Zwift Power still puts me as a Cat B racer. That's because Zwift Power is presumably more intelligent. The Alan Revham actually thinks, wait a minute, he did a really short race and was good. Maybe he's not quite a Cat A yet. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but the only thing we can do is race as Cat A, have a few failures, and then hopefully it works out that it was wrong and demotes me again to Cat B. So first of all, we need to update my weight in Zwift. I have put a few kilograms on, which is what happens over Christmas.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
The Ribble Winter Series is a Preems series, so there is more than just points for finishing, which is quite exciting. It makes it a little bit more challenging, adds another dimension to the racing, which I really enjoy. So I've actually got it written on the whiteboard there. So in this race we've got 2 KOMs, one at 6k and one at 17k. They're only short though, 0.9k long each and 6.6 and 5% average. And then at 23k we've got a sprint, a 400 metre sprint. So yeah, let's see what happens. I think this is going to be an absolute complete failure. I'm not a Cat A racer. I think what's going to happen is I stick with the bunch, I get to the first climb and they just fly away from me. However, this race, from memory, we are all mixed in together, so I can still hang around with the bees, so I'll have some old friends. So yeah, let's get on with it now. So yeah, getting the power up just as the timer goes down to 0, and trying to put a bit more power down than I'll be doing for the rest of the race, which is how every Zwift race starts. Every Zwift race starts pretty hard, and you've got to do all you can to cling on to that front group. But luckily this race it wasn't too difficult. We managed to stay with the front group for the first part of the race, which is good. As you can see, I know I'm down in like 40th place out of 200, 240, but I am with that front group, which is what matters. So yeah, it starts pretty easy, as you can see here, up into the single digits at some points, and just clinging on, which is what you've got to do. Then it gets a little bit undulating. So at this point you can see that I'm putting quite a bit of effort in still. The graph is mostly red. I'm trying to rest when I can, but it gets just a bit undulating and I'm not quick enough on the gears, which means I'm not putting in enough power on, well, both the downhill and the uphill segments really. And that means that front group you can just see is starting to pull away, and that's fine as long as there is a continuous group between us. However, as soon as there's a bit of a gap, and you can already see one forming in front of me now, but as soon as there's a gap in any of that group, then the front are just going to fly off, and I am not going to be in that front group anymore. And at the end, when we do the analysis, you'll see why this was so important in this race. So yeah, it's happening. We can see it happening. I am just kind of getting split up from that front group. In hindsight, I should have been putting more effort in at that point. Really bad strategy on my part, and you can see at this point we are now in a group of our own. We're down in 70th place, and that front group are just long gone at this point. There's a few stragglers in front as we start the first KOM segment, and I have no idea what strategy I need for the KOM segment. I don't know what the others are going to be doing power wise, so I just think maybe if I go around 350 watts average up the KOM segment, then that might be enough to achieve a decent-ish result. And that's what I was doing in B, but yeah, I think you have to go a little bit harder if you're racing in Cat A. So as you can see, we're just about finishing the KOM segment here, and we're going to get the live results. So the results on the left hand side are for my Cat, I believe. So you're only seeing the Cat A finishes, and you can see there's 27 people finished already. Most of the Cat A's are in that front group. So yeah, over the crest of this last bit, you can see my effort has been pretty consistent with the graph at the bottom. However, you can see that I am currently last I was the slowest on that one. There was a cat A behind me, so I've just bumped up to second from last. Now, the most important thing for me here is to find a group. One of the mistakes I made at the beginning of the Ribble Winter Series is not finding a group after a preem section, and that meant that I was on my own, and when you're on your own in a Zwift race, you're just messed up basically. You're going to be so slow. You need a group, you need to fly along with a group. So I've got that power up, the aero one, that I can use if I need it. However, I decided to save it because I'm not going to get another power up until the top of the next KOM, so it's not much use to me unless I need to use it now to join a group, which I don't because I find a group. So yeah, we end up together. You can see there's a group in front, and now we're all together. We actually catch them up really quickly and form an even bigger group, and this is the group then that I stay with until pretty much the end of the race. So yeah, saving that aero power up. I know that I want to use it either on the next descent to catch a group again, on the sprint segment towards the end, or at the finish. I know I'm kind of sacrificing power-ups to save this one, but I think that's worth it because it's no use to me before then. So yeah, we're all together now. Nice big group, moving pretty fast. They're all Bs that are around me, and that's because I believe I should be a B. That's not the reason they're around me, but it's kind of indicative. But yeah, so we're about to start the next preem, or we might have already started it, the next KOM, and I go for a similar strategy. I know it didn't work for me last time, but I don't have a lot of energy left in me, so I just decide to do it again. I think if I try and go harder, then I'm going to suffer more later in the race and potentially not finish in the same position that I could. So yeah, we get to the top, we cross the finish line, and position 28th out of 30. I'm quicker than a couple of the guys in front of me, but yeah, that's about where I am. I really do need to work on my KOM attempts, especially if I'm going to be racing in Cat A. So yeah, I need a group again. I could use the power up to catch a group up on the descent. However, as you can see, there's a group around me. We stick together. It's the same group I've been racing with. So now into the sprint section, I think, I might as well give this an effort. So I put a bit of effort in. I should have gone earlier in hindsight. You saw that it took a while for my power to come up. But before the line, I should have been putting more power down. However, I'm away from those people that were around me, so I'm quite happy with that. And as you can see, I'm about to cross the line in a few seconds, and we'll see the result then. And yep, 14th out of 28. So I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm thinking that's going to be some good points that'll hopefully bump me up from wherever I finish. Which we'll see when we do the analysis at the end, how the preems affected my result. So now I lift off a bit to catch this same group up, and I can see there's a couple of A's in front of me at 9 and 13 seconds in front, and they're on their own, right, because they're not at the same time split as another group. So I'm thinking maybe we can have them, and if we jump forward a minute or so, we can see that they're now just 3 and 2 seconds in front with 600 meters to go. And as we turn this corner, we start seeing them. As you can see, they're just there ahead of us. So this is my chance to actually make some places in the A-cap. So it's all about when to deploy the aero and when to go for it. So I want to deploy the aero so I get it all the way to the end, I think. So I think I deploy it somewhere around now. Yep, there I go. Put a bit of power down, work up through the gears. I'm actually able to put more power down now here than I did in the sprint, so maybe I should have gone harder in the sprint. And we are catching that A's. This is actually pretty exciting at this point. And there they are. We caught them both and we had them, which was, yeah, exciting. And that's the end of the race. So let's go over to Zwift Power and have a look at the analysis now. So yeah, into Zwift Power now. You can see that Zwift Power is still putting me as a Cat B. However, Zwift is still enforcing me to A, so I'll be at A again next week. So there's a few interesting things here. You can see that I finished 24th out of 27, which is what's to be expected.
If we actually look at finishing times, I'm actually one ahead of that, I think. There is this guy here, Tom, who's actually a second slower than me. He's one of those people we must have picked off at the end. However, he will have done better in the segments, so he'll have got some more points from the segments. And yeah, you can see these are the points you get. There's no good breakdown that I know of how many you got from each segment and from the race. I think you do get points quite far down. I think it's top 50 in the race get points, so everyone will have got some in this Cat A race, and I think it's top 25 for each of the preems. So there were points up for grabs. I should have got some in the sprint section, but the fact that I did so poorly in them KOM segments, it meant that it didn't really help me. I'm not far off though, 146 points. It's not too bad. So the interesting thing is, if we look at my watts per kilogram, 3.9, and if we look at some people towards the front, so Jan is a great example, 3.7 watts per kilogram. They put a lower effort in average. However, they finished right at the front, and that's just because their strategy was better. They managed to hang on to them front groups when they needed to, and that meant that they finished right at the front, which is, yeah, amazing. Well done, Jan. So I think if you look at some of the power, the sort of like 5 minute, 1 minute powers, and if we look at what I'm getting, and I think my power's not as good as these people at the top. But if we look at people lower down, you know, the 5 second and the 30 seconds, it's not too bad. But it's this 1 minute power that I'm really struggling with. And this is maybe what I need to work on, because I'm significantly under pretty much every other rider. It's clear that if I want to do these sorts of races, that's what I need to be training towards. The 5 minute power is, you know, thereabouts with the bottom half of A, and the 20 minute power is fine, but it really is, I think, that 1 minute power that is where I am suffering. So I think there's a few things that I need to work on there. See if I can improve for next time. If you've got any tips, please let me know in the comments below. And that's going to be it for this video. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one.